The Stockdale Paradox is a concept you might have heard of in the business world, but I find that it is so relevant to working on recovery from mental illness or succeeding with any big challenge without losing our minds. And so that is very relevant to all of us right now as we're dealing with the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic and all the assorted challenges that come with it. So what I'll do in this video is explain what the Stockdale Paradox is, talk about its opposite, which is a Trump delusion, and then I'll share 5 tips, kind of like 5 changes that we can all make in any situation to put the Stockdale Paradox into practice. The term, the Stockdale Paradox, originated in Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, which is one of my favorite mental health books. And the Stockdale Paradox is to confront the brutal facts of reality while maintaining an unwavering commitment to prevailing over them. The paradox is named after Admiral Jim Stockdale, who spent 8 years as a prisoner in a POW camp during the Vietnam War. It was extremely difficult, painful, and he had no way of knowing if he would ever get out or the war would ever end. In the book, Colin asks Stockdale, who didn't make it out? And Stockdale says, "Oh, that's easy, the optimists." And he goes on to explain that it was the people who were always sure that something was just gonna magically happen. And they would say things like, "Oh, we'll get out by Christmas. Don't worry, we'll be out of here by Christmas." And then of course Christmas would come and go and they wouldn't get out. The war wouldn't be over. And then they'd say, "Okay, well, by Easter, everything will be fine by Easter. We'll be gone by Easter." And of course that would come and go and they'd still be stuck there. This book came out 20 years ago. He uses that example of the guy who says, "Oh, we're gonna get out by Easter. We're gonna get out by Easter. It's gonna happen. Somebody will rescue us," as the example of a guy who didn't make it. And what have we seen recently? Politicians doing just that. Businesses doing that. "Oh, like we'll be back in business by Easter. Everything is gonna be fine. That's a good timeline. Churches will be full again."
And what a great timeline this would be. Easter as our timeline, what a great timeline that would be.
It's the exact same behavior when you see politicians pushing untested treatments. Like, "Oh, we're just gonna use these magic pills and they're gonna solve everything for us."
Take it. I really think they should take it. But it's their choice. And it's their doctor's choice or the doctors in the hospital. But hydroxychloroquine, try it.
And of course those don't work, so that leads people to search for even more magic, easy solutions, even if that means suggesting things and trying things that are really harmful and dangerous. Because again, we're just chasing that quick fix.
See the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning?
So let's say that the opposite of the Stockdale Paradox is a Trump delusion. And that's an ignorance of the facts combined with an unwavering belief in quick and easy magical solutions. In mental health, this looks exactly the same. We're often looking for magical, instant, perfect solutions from things we don't control. Like we pick random dates. Like, "Oh, the wedding is coming up. Well, by the wedding, I'll be over these intrusive thoughts. I won't have them anymore." Or after exams, then I'll be able to quit my addiction. Or once I get a job, the depression will go away. I just have to get the job and the depression will go away. Or we expect it to just resolve itself. Things will go back to normal. I don't have to change anything. I don't have to make any difficult changes. This will just take care of itself. So we put off making the changes we need to make. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, things just keep getting worse. We just keep waiting for them to change. And we go searching for magical potions rather than dig into that uncertainty or tackle the complex changes we need to make inside of ourselves and around us. We just want some magic beans. Just give me the magic beans. Scientific evidence be damned. That drive for certainty and control can be so strong. But the magic solutions, they don't work. So we try another and another and another, and we just build up this pile of failures. We get exhausted and worn down. All we've done is buy ourselves a ticket to Depressionville. And that's why Stockdale mentions those people in the prisoner camp, they were just, hoping for this thing that wouldn't come, rather than looking at the reality of the situation and asking, okay, how do I make this work? What actions can I do? What is in my power? What do I control? And how do I start to make this work? The amount of time, effort, and money we spend chasing magic, simple, easy solutions is always greater than the amount of effort it would take to make the changes we need to make. So I'm going to share 5 tips with you now on how to not get caught up in Trump delusions, how to put the Stockdale Paradox into practice with whatever challenge you're working on right now. Whether that's just making it through the pandemic with your health still intact, or you're working on recovery from mental illness, it's likely that those 2 things are going together for you right now. These are skills that are going to be useful for whatever challenge you're encountering in life and just for life in general. The first tip is to start with data and honesty. And this is one of the reasons that some of the first exercises in this book, You Are Not a Rock, are the inventory exercises. And they are all about seeing where we're at and where we want to be, and being totally honest about how we're spending our time and energy in life. And then we can start to ask whether or not the gap between those two, where we're at and where we want to be, is even crossable. What actions do we need to do each day to cross that gap? What are the resources we need? What are the supports we need? What are the changes we need to make? Succeeding with any change and making it through any challenge is like navigating space on a map. And if you can't be honest about where your starting point is on that map, or what's a realistic destination, then of course you are going to get lost while trying to navigate that wilderness. It just makes sense. The second tip is to pursue supports, not solutions. And I know when we're struggling with anything, we really want to find a solution. I get that. We're struggling with mental illness, we want to get rid of the intrusive thoughts. We want the depression to go away. Stop these voices. We want that solution, that fix. We want the quarantine to go away. We want to be certain we're not going to get coronavirus. Just anything in life. We want that solution. And I get that. But what often happens there, for starters, is that it's so big and complex and we don't know how to do it, and it's often just out of our control, that we don't do anything. So shift the focus to supports. Don't be off chasing some abstract solution or destination. It's about looking at the things that I can do today that are going to help tomorrow be easier. Admiral Stockdale gives an example of a support in his interview in Good to Great. In the prisoner camp, they developed a coded language that they shared amongst the prisoners, and it could help them plan and organize, send information back and forth. Within the context that they found themselves, which was very difficult, it was helping them thrive in that context. But you can see how somebody who maybe shows up in the camp and is thinking, oh, I'm not going to be here long. This is all just going to go away soon, might not take the time to learn the camp's coded language, even though their life might depend on it, right? Because they're not focused on the actions they can do right now. They're just hoping for some far-off magical solution. The third tip is to keep success close. Success needs to be something we can do today. Because if it's with mental health, recovery is not some big crystal piss pot you win as a reward at the end of some long race. Your mental health is what you do in the next moment. With quarantine, life is not something you're gonna live after the pandemic. Success isn't something that comes after this kind of hopeful magic future state where you get to do all of these things you do in a totally different world. It's so useful to bring success close. Today, this is our life, where I am today, with whatever I'm doing, wherever I'm at. So how can I make success achievable with the actions that I can do today? Because we really enjoy being successful. But what happens so often is that we kind of choose to throw success off somewhere that we can't reach and that we don't even know how to get to. And then we're disappointed because, I'm not successful. And so that's just not that useful to you. And if you think that's gonna make you not motivated or something like that, you'll actually find the total opposite is true. Because when you can be successful today, you find that tomorrow you just wanna spend that success. Right? I'm so successful today, and now, okay, how do I wanna use that success? Well, I wanna do even more things that make me successful today, even more actions that are within my control. So look at where success is for you today. Even in the next hour, how are you gonna be successful? How are you gonna celebrate that? The fourth tip is to spend your energy on things you control. Because there is no benefit to all the hating and judging that we often love to do about things that suck. And keep in mind, this isn't about pretending like they don't suck. We look at the brutal reality of the facts. We say, look, here is a terrible thing. But what we do after that is up to us. And this is true for something like an intrusive thought. An intrusive thought pops up. Sure, it's a horrible, terrible, violent image, absolutely. But do you want to then spend all of your time and energy trying to control it, hating on it, checking on it, making yourself miserable, and getting nothing in return for that? So I find it really helpful to actually look at this from a perspective of return on investment. Because if you're spending all of your time and energy hating on something, trying to control something, checking on something, just spending all of your day investing in it, but you're not actually getting anything in return, then you're just going to be making things worse. You're just kind of digging a hole deeper and deeper and getting nothing back. How do we want to spend our time and energy? What's actually going to produce a return on investment? And what if we spend all of our time and energy in it is just going to be a big empty hole that we dig deeper and deeper? The fifth and final tip is to trust yourself. Trust yourself to handle it. And that's not about trusting that things are going to work out okay. And doing lots of positive affirmations, everything's going to be okay, everything's going to be good, I have no fear. It's not about that at all. This is about trusting that you can handle the worst possible scenarios, that everything could go wrong, and you're going to step into that challenge and handle it. It's that unwavering commitment to prevail, and this is something we practice. Trust is an action, it's a practice. It's not a feeling we get before we do things. It's something we do in the face of challenges. In fact, back when I struggled with my mental health, and this is still a trick that I find so useful, stepping into any challenge or any project, is to accept that the worst possible things have already happened. All the consequences I'm afraid of, they've happened. So now let's shift our energy and our focus to supporting ourselves. Okay, in this context where things are going wrong, how am I going to help myself thrive? How can I support myself? What actions am I going to do? What am I going to give? And that's what we get to look at in every moment. Every moment we step into and we practice trusting ourselves. So you get to ask yourself this in the next moment. In this moment, in the context that we find ourselves, how am I going to spend my time and energy in a way that's beneficial to me and to those around me?